On today's show,
here's what we know we need to do to be good. Here's what we know, that has worked for us. So let's commit to the consistency. Kind of like I talked about at the beginning, like we just want to stack consistent good days on top of one another. And we know that's going to get us to a good place.
A good day to you. We're ready to roll out another episode of Kansas Sports Chatter. My name is Cole Rife. It's our statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you're new to the show, it's episode 101. But if you're new, haven't been paying attention to the first 100, perfectly fine. We don't mess around a whole lot with the intros. Not one long, drawn-out intro and like a typical sports talk where we're going to analyze things and we're going to break things down and give opinions and put out hot takes. Nothing like that. We like to focus in on the guests, and that's what we're here for. So let's introduce those guests today. Glen Grunwald with Hutchinson Radio, longtime voice of the Hutchinson Salthawks, also a former voice of the Hutchinson Blue Dragons for the community college, announcing that he's stepping away this fall from Hutchinson Salthawks, still involved with the radio station Hutchinson, but we'll talk about his career with play-by-play there in Hutchinson and even before Hutchinson in Great Bend and even further out west. Matt Swedlund, he's head coach of the Washburn Rural cross-country team coming off that boys state championship this past fall. We'll talk about what's in store for him going into the 2026. Jeremy Crabtree, longtime high school recruiting analyst, now with Elevate Recruits, helping guys out to get to that next level and navigating everything. And Barnett with Topeka-Hayden, making quite the transition from playing on the offensive line for the Wildcats and now going into running back for Hayden, and another one of those standout athletes going into his senior season. He is on the show today as well. Thanks to some of our sponsors, including Eastus Media, the voice of the Pratt High Greenbacks, delivering big-time coverage to small-town sports, and Meyers Enterprises. Stand out from the noise with any type of digital advertising. You can schedule a free consultation with Meyers Enterprises. We'll take a break. When we come back, we talk radio and the career of Glen Grunwald. Career still going, but some things that he's stepping away from as well. Glen joins us next. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. They build and install high-performance LED video walls. If you're looking to upgrade your sports gym, church, event center, or sports bar, SPX has 30 years in the electronic industry to take your space to the next level. Call them at 620-796-7233 or visit sp-xsolutions.com. Your gym needs SPX. We welcome you back on the show as we introduce our next guest, and it is going to be Glen Grunwald. He is with the radio station out in Hutchinson with Eagle Media, and some like starting to I guess limit some of your job duties. I guess no longer the voice of the Hutchinson Salthawks, but we'll kind of go into that. But first of all, Glen, appreciate you coming on the show.
No problem. Good to see you as always, former Eagle guy as well. So, I'm still going to do a few things around here at the morning show and some things like that, help out. But we hired a really good guy to take my place, and it's just time to ride down the road.
All right, so first of all, like how many years have you been calling Hutchinson games?
Hutchinson games started here in 97. So okay. That's, 29? Something like that. Yeah, 29 years here. Did the high school the last few years. Helped out with the high school before that when Rusty was here. Started with Barton in 1990, started with Lauren in 1985. That's when I started in broadcasting.
All right, so obviously a long time with Hutchinson Community College, calling the Blue Dragons, and then obviously, like you said, with the Salthawks as well for Hutchinson High. So for you, like, what was it tough, to make that decision to kind of step away from doing Hutchinson High?
You know it is.
Yeah.
You know it is. It's a decision, though, that I wanted to make for myself. I didn't ever want to be in a situation where somebody says, hey, you're kind of starting to slip a little bit. And those things start to happen. Had some health issues. I had sciatic nerve hit me and had a couple other things happening. So eyesight's not as good as it used to be. So it was a time. I just decided with my wife and I talking about it. We want to travel. We want to get and do some things. 42 years, most Friday and Saturdays were taken up with sports, at least during the school year. So I got grandkids now that are in sports and over in Wichita at high school. One's going to play at Benedictine for football. Want to get to some of those games, and you can't do it when you're tied down on Friday nights and Saturdays.
For you, like you mentioned, the late 1990s arriving to Hutchinson, like what was that like, and just kind of arriving there and kind of your role at that time?
Well, here's what's interesting is sports was a hobby to me. I sold pharmaceuticals for a living. I was with a company called GlaxoSmithKline and had a management position toward the end of my career with them. So I spent 30 years doing that. So I started in 85. A good friend of mine, Dennis Franz, owned the Lawrence station, had me get involved with that. I loved it and ended up broadcasting there. And then I got a call from Colleen O'Neill, was a station in Great Bend. They had the rights to the Barton Cougars, and it was an opportunity for me to do that. But I lived in Hutchinson the whole time. So when the opportunity came for me to be able to become the voice of the Blue Dragons for basketball specifically, that was kind of a no-brainer, and I wanted to do that. And I hated to leave Barton. I loved Barton. A lot of good friends out there. Steve Forbes and it was the coach. He left at the same time. Ray Burchard, all those guys out there. But it was the time for me to come to Hutch and finally have some home games, really have some home games rather than just one a year, was what I had when Barton would play Hutchinson here. So both great programs, both unique programs, both strong programs sports-wise, but it's been fun. Number one, it's been fun to have football. So I was able to get a national championship in football here and was able to get a national championship in 2017. You know what that's like. It's a special time to be able to do that. So it was a good career. I've had a good career last 10 years. I've had Broadcaster of the Year awards from various different organizations, and it's just a time for me to step down.
All right, let's go through this career. I want to ask some questions as a fellow broadcaster and like just kind of things that go throughout your career. First of all, like every situation is different as far as places you go to actually set up. So what is the weirdest or maybe the most challenging place that you've ever broadcast a game from? It can be any sport.
Well, it'd have to be basketball from northeastern Colorado with the Cougars. It was with the Lady Cougars. Jerry McCarty was the coach, and we played in the Quonset building out there. I think they have a nice new facility now, or fairly new anyway. But this was about like 95 or 96. We traveled out there by bus, and they stick you in the corner. The whole teams have to check in at the stage of this Quonset building, and I had to look around a big furnace basically to be able to see what the scoreboard was and everything. That was the most unique one. I did a 8-man football playoff game once when you had to crawl up on a ladder way up high. You might remember McCook, Nebraska. I don't know if you ever called a game from up there or not.
I haven't called a game, but I've been there.
Yeah, and you had to crawl up basically it was about like an elevator, not an elevator. It was about like inside of an elevator. We crawled up with rungs of ladders. About kind of was Garden City with football the same way. So some unique places like that. You get stuck in little Cracker Jacks and this and that. Not as nice as Barton's, not as nice as Hutch, but you did what you had to do.
Did you ever have in any part of your career a catchphrase that you liked for a specific sport or a specific moment?
When I was doing the Lady Cougars, I did "Oh Baby What a Shot." Now that was kind of tied to Kevin Harlan's "Oh Baby What a Play." I think he got it from me. Is what I think he got.
There you go. I think so too.
I know Kevin well, but we had T-shirts made up on the back that said "Oh Baby What a Shot," and because that's what I call when they made a last-second shot that got them into the national tournament and things like that. So that was one I had. Not really. Just some people say "Wow" and do all. I never really did have a catchphrase that I did. I wasn't cutesy like that.
No, I like it. All right, so let's go high school level. Some of the top athletes that you've seen, just as far as they're pure talents that either in high school or went on to the next level.
Well, some pure talents was both girls and guys. Larned High School when Greg Cartwright was the head coach there had some phenomenal teams. Some of the Crosby girls, some other ones that went on to play four-year schools. Kinder Garst was one out of southeast of Saline that was outstanding. Her and Tammy Mann. Both of these are deceased now. Both cancer got them both, but they were great girls when I was there. And then, of course, as well as seeing some really good girls play for Hutch High throughout the years, as well as for the Blue Dragons. So Hutch High wise, I'd have to say the Premier kid from Great Bend is one of the better players that I've ever seen.
All right. So for you, I mean, you look at, like what you enjoy the most of broadcasting, like what was it? Was it the preparation? Was it, the action, being in the middle of the action, or just being part of it all? Like what stood out for you?
I probably didn't prep as good as broadcasters like you and like Rusty and like Sean Boston's here now, took my place with Blue Dragons. I felt like I wasn't as much of a stat person as Rusty was. He provided the stats. I just provided the excitement and the action. That was probably my passion for the sports and time and score. I have lectured people on time and score because I can't tell you how many times I'll listen to a game on the radio and I'll be yelling at it, tell me what the score is, tell me what the time is. Or somebody will say 28-17, well, who? And that was a big thing that Dennis Franz installed in me to say time and score, you can't give it enough. That was one thing I prided myself on, and also being pretty fair, being very balanced. Yeah, I called it for the Cougars. Yes, I called it for the Blue Dragons, but we also were pretty fair to the other team. I never did say, boy, that person. I had one situation with Hoisington, and you called for Hoisington and Barnett one time, and I said to about a young man was out of control with the basketball in the back court, meaning he had lost control of the ball, was getting away from it, about to scare out of bounds. His grandmother called me and said that I was saying that her grandson was out of control, and I had that happen. So that's something like that. But basically, to be fair and balanced and call it like you see it. I mean, if somebody's not playing very well, you gotta say they're not playing very well tonight. But you can say it in a nice, not destructive way, more constructive.
Well, I've had people actually walk up to the press box like during the game and actually have certain comments on based on my broadcasting. So I think you're doing good if they just sent you something later. So that's not bad. Hey, for you, like you mentioned, like getting started in Larned, like what was the learning curve like, just as far as, okay, hey, now wasn't a full-time gig like you said at that time, but like, okay, now I'm a broadcaster. Like what was the learning curve like?
Well, Dennis asked me to come help and do color for football because he had a gentleman that moved away. And toward the end of the season, the gentleman that was doing the play-by-play moved to Topeka. He was an insurance salesman. And all of a sudden, I was thrust into that. And I liked it. It was okay. But basketball season came around, and a gentleman by the name of Mark Zwink worked for KANS. And he was the play-by-play. And we're at the tournament in St. John. And all of a sudden, he just says, and now with your play-by-play, here's Glen Grunwald, and walked away. And that's how I started doing play-by-play. So I loved it. I liked it. Called some, as a former player too, you can see some shots and what's going in. You can tell it's going to be good. And if it misses or barely misses, you can say that just barely missed or came off wrong. I had a tendency to be able to really tell when a long shot had a good shot of going in, and that kind of gave me some positive vibes to say, hey, you know what, you can do this. So I started working at it. And ended up really enjoying it, making a second career out of it.
Well, you mentioned some of the duties you're still doing there in Hutchinson. What are some of those?
Well, we have an early morning show that is on the AM side on KWBW. It's very well known. And at 8:30, sometimes I do the early interviews with school personnel or mayor or city council member or whatever. And then at 8:30, we have an hour and a half show that's just like sitting around drinking coffee, talking politics, talking sports, talking about what's going on. We have some light reads for some sponsors, and I do that for about an hour and a half, and that's primarily about it. Cut some commercials here and there, and I just do things like that. Prepare for the national tournament. That's a pretty big undertaking. I handle all the teams, broadcast teams that are coming in or we're doing feeds for. And that's some of the things I do. And other than that, my wife and I have been doing some traveling, which we weren't able to do before. Just got back from a cruise to the Great Lakes. We enjoy that. And just trying to kind of kick back and enjoy some grandkids, sports games that are going on, things like that.
You like that production side of things because you mentioned, like you've been doing it for a number of years for the national tournament for the NJCAA there in Hutchinson, but also, now here the last couple of years with the Kansas Shrine Bowl with the radio broadcast as well. You like that side of it?
Yeah, I really did. It was kind of like fun to not necessarily be on air type of thing. Now with the national tournament, I'm going to try to do a game a day type of thing. But you were the lone broadcaster there for Barton when they won it a couple of years ago. It'll wear you out after a few, and we do those all 23 games we broadcast here and locally. And I have to line up the broadcasters for that, but also coordinate who's going to set where for what games, what stations we're feeding for the NJCAA. And I like that part of it. The Shrine Bowl is a wonderful program, and we really have been lucky for them to approach Eagle and say, hey, would you guys put this on all your stations? And we've done that. this last 2 years and had a lot of fun. Jarrell Wellbrock out of Hayes, Sean Boston this year, Anthony Georges, who just took my place here, and Hutchinson was on the sideline. That's a unique program, and I really enjoyed being the kind of the producer of that, doing the countdown, getting all the commercials in, making sure we're doing all that kind of stuff. A little bit different side of broadcasting.
Yeah. Well, hey, Glenn, I know we're going to be hearing you plenty on Hutchinson Radio, and as you mentioned on the tournament as well, but a heck of a play-by-play career, man.
Well, I appreciate it very much. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on your show. You're doing a great job getting sports chatter out there and let folks know a little bit about what's going on in the state of Kansas sports-wise, especially at the high school level.
That's Glen Grunwald with Hutchinson Radio. We'll have more of the show right after this.
So long, everybody.
Power outages don't wait for a convenient time, and neither should you. Right now is the perfect season to invest in a standby generator from Wheatland Electric Cooperative. With low monthly payments and special financing for co-op members, reliable backup power is more affordable than you think. We'll help you survey, install, and finance a Generac standby generator, all with professional installation you can trust. Protect your home, your comfort, and your peace of mind before the next storm hits. Get a free quote today and make life without power a thing of the past. Visit us online or call us to get started today.
Respecting our sports officials is an important aspect in our activities and for our communities. We need to cheer for our teams while also supporting the officials who help make the game possible to create a positive sports environment. These individuals dedicate their time and effort to ensure fair play and maintain the integrity of the game. They make tough calls in the heat of the moment, and their decisions are crucial for the safety and fairness of all players involved. When we show respect for our officials, we set a great example for athletes and fans.
Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in our next guest, and that is going to be Matt Swedlund. He is the head coach of the Washburn Rural cross country teams as they're getting ready for their upcoming 2026 fall season. Coach, appreciate the time. What's the summer been like for you and the team?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on, Cole. Appreciate the invite. We've had a great summer. We usually take about a 2-week break after state track, just kind of a hard reset. After the state track meet, give everybody a little bit of time to catch their breath. And then once we roll, we just roll. So we've had a really good summer. We're just trying to stack good days on top of good days and be consistent. And so we've been out all summer, just pounding the pavement, hitting the trails, getting the miles in, trying to build that aerobic base so that we're ready for the fall.
Do you see most of it during the summer as maybe like individual workouts, or do you guys work out a decent amount as a team?
Yeah, we go Monday through Friday as a team. So we're pretty locked in. We had a great group. So we'll pull in some of our middle school kids too, who are interested in running. So we'll usually have between 40 and 50, sometimes almost 60 kids out
Nice.
Working out. We'll have some alumni, who are some college athletes that are in and out and come run with the team and stuff. So so we'll send, summertime, we got kids going in different directions, doing vacations and trips and things with family. So we'll kind of send out here's the general plan for the week. Anyone who's around, we'll meet different spots around town, do different trails, get a little bit different scenery. The kids like running at the high school, but with as many miles as we're running, that kind of can get old a little bit. So we try to go some other places too. But yeah, so when we can, we like to do it with the squad. So anybody who's in town, we encourage to run with us. And then those who are out of town, we're like, here's the plan, and get in what you can while you're out doing vacation stuff.
How are those middle school programs going? I know at least around the state, a lot of them are fairly new. Like for you guys at Washburn Rural, like what have you seen from the middle school program?
Yeah, I think overall it's been a really positive thing. Just getting the kids, getting that kind of early access and letting them know that this is an opportunity to participate in the sport. And so I think overall it's been positive. So just last year was the first year where we split into 2 middle schools. Before that, we just had the one, and it's literally, less than a quarter mile from the high school. So we were very, very attached. And so we've kind of tried to keep that vibe of making it feel like one big thing. Obviously, once season starts and stuff, we have to split. And have separate practices and all that with the acacia stuff. But in general, we'll have a lot of younger siblings and stuff. So it just kind of makes sense in the summer when they're coming out to do their mileage, they'll have little brother, little sister tag along and
Nice.
kind of try to get them hooked early and make it part of the whole, make them part of the family and the culture of what we're trying to do, even beyond just the running piece.
During the summer, or even during the season, Coach, do you have a mileage progression that you do, as far as, okay, you're working up to a certain amount, or do you just kind of hit that certain amount right away?
Yeah, we do a progression. So generally we have about 5 different training plans that we'll have going in the summertime. So we try to hit everything from those younger or just newer runners, even if they're going to be a senior in high school, but it's the first time coming out for a sport, kind of a low mileage group, and they'll stay pretty low, but we'll try to build them up into the 20s where they're running 20 to 25 miles a week by the end of the summer. And then we have our everything from that on the low end to the upper end where we'll take a few weeks to kind of build, and we'll usually do a 3 or 4 week build depending on what's going on. And then we'll take a down week and then we'll build. And for our varsity upperclassmen, depending on the year, but a lot of times we'll get between 50 and 60 by the end of the summer, but they'll start closer, once they're coming off that 2 week break, we'll start more down in the 30s and kind of work our way up there.
For you, and I know the boys able to win that state championship last fall, does it feel any more exciting, I guess, going into the next season?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a great group of kids. And so we're fortunate that we have a good number of those boys coming back. Honestly, we haven't talked much about state championship. That's not been a lot of our language for the summer. It's more just about the process and kind of letting those successes and the trophies and the things that come with that just happen. It's here's what we know we need to do to be good. Here's what we know, that has worked for us. So let's commit to the consistency, kind of like I talked about at the beginning. We just want to stack consistent good days on top of one another. And we know that's going to get us to a good place. There's lots of stuff, that we don't control what other athletes are doing, what kind of summer they're having, what kind of kids transferred into their school, that kind of stuff. So we try not to stress or worry too much about any of that and just kind of focus on, but clearly it's a neat opportunity to have be coming off of a state championship and then have a lot of those boys back. So having that experience going into the season, I definitely think will be a positive thing.
What was that scene like though last fall? Because that was obviously a really tight one. You and Blue Valley edging them out by 1. What was going through your head there toward the end?
Yeah, that's funny. So I did some interviews and talking about it right after, but it's been a little while. So this is kind of taking me back. But when we finished, it's such a chaotic experience trying to get around the course in Rimrock, and I'm dying, trying to get from one spot to another. And I can tell that we're racing pretty good. But part of our story was that we didn't have a front runner, right? We didn't have anybody in the top 20. But then we were grouped up pretty well. And so doing the math, so I'm trying to do the math of where I think we're going to be at, and then trying to do the math to pull out how many individuals I think probably were in there and what our points were. I had us right about where we were. I thought, we're probably right around 100 points, which probably puts us on the podium. But where on the podium, I'm not sure. Usually you don't win a state championship when you score 100 points. So it was a little bit of an unusual year. And then there's a little bit of a delay, I think partly because it was so close and they wanted to make sure everything was accurate and kind of double checking any close finishes. We were waiting quite a while. And Steve Heffernan actually got on the mic. They don't usually announce the scores, but we were kind of waiting. We had told the boys, go to the tent, hang out there. We'll come and let you know. We tell the parents, put your phones away. The coverage is kind of spotty out there at Rimrock. So we kind of had the boys at the tent, and then all of a sudden they're announcing it over the loudspeaker. And so we went flying to the tent, and it was just super fun. They couldn't actually hear, but we thought they were going to be able to hear, and we wanted to be with them when they heard. So we're kind of like flying down to the team tent, celebrating, and they're flying towards us, and it was just kind of a chaos of excitement, and just feeling so happy for those guys.
That's awesome. Matt Swedlund joining us here on the show, Washburn Rural cross country coach. Like you mentioned, like kind of unusual with like the 100 points, being able to win the state title. But have you noticed that throughout your time there at Washburn Rural, like, I mean, different groups and being able to get it done in different ways? Like, I mean, whether it's a group in the middle of the pack, or maybe you do have one of those front runners, like what have you kind of seen throughout your years?
Yeah, I mean, year to year, the landscape of what each team looks like or what our team looks like and what it's going to take to win is always different, and what it takes to win. Like we have a Topeka City championship, and we have the Centennial League championship, and there's regional, and all of those meets take kind of slightly different pieces to win, and you might win one and not the other. In fact, we didn't win our regional. We were second at regional. Manhattan beat us at our regional. So yeah, it can really vary year to year and team to team. We won in 2019, and with that crew, we did have a couple of boys that were up in the front, placing in the top. We had 2 top 10 finishers, and then had a few guys we had to bring in through the middle. So yeah, it really, really varies. It just kind of so happened that this last year, that was probably about the only way we were going to get it done, was to kind of pack up and get everybody as close to grouped up as possible, and get them all through to the finish line in a group. So, yeah.
You mentioned that 2019 team that was able to win the state title as well. And I've asked multiple coaches, and they made this a tough question to answer, but like, did you notice like getting that first one or maybe getting that second one, either one more sweeter, or are they both equally sweet?
Yeah, I would say it's hard to say one's better than the other, just different, just is totally different. Both like super exciting and awesome experiences. The 2019 group was a special one for me. So that was my first group to see all the way through. So when I came in, they were freshmen, and then it was their senior year that they got it done. So that was neat. It was also the first boys state championship in our school history. So that was neat.
Nice.
These boys, though, that like this last year, he said that scoring 100 points, but still getting it done, doing it the way they did with no front runner and just kind of having to pack up like that was special. And then just the drama kind of added to it when it was so close. And we had a Brooks Kehoe was our kind of senior leader, and he had set that as a goal, a year before. And those guys were younger. A lot of the guys were sophomores. And so he had worked really hard and done some really cool things as a leader to kind of get all those boys to that point. So each year is, each experience is super cool in its own right.
You yourself, a Washburn Rural graduate, what was it like coming back and starting to coach for Washburn Rural?
Yeah, super cool. I mean, Coach Shuffleberger was my coach, and he started back in the 80s. And so that was about all Washburn Rural knew. I mean, there were a few coaches and actually some success even before Coach Shuff got there. But, in terms of modern history, like the Washburn Rural cross country was Shuffleberger. So it was cool to come back to that and kind of know what some of that culture is and know what that program is. And then also have an idea of like what spin I want to put on it and what kind of things that I envisioned being able to do with the program. But yeah, it's a special place. It's a great place to run. Feel really fortunate to have taken over there and to be a part of it, and just kind of continue what he had started and the legacy of really good distance running at Washburn Rural.
What do you remember, like just even as an athlete with Scott Shuffleberger, and then obviously taking over the program as well? But what do you remember even as an athlete for Rural? I mean,
Shuff is a character, awesome guy. You would know you were running near Shuff if you thought it was raining. because the guy would sweat bullets. He was just he wasn't like your traditional distance runner. He played football in high school, but like picked it up afterwards. But I think brought some of that with him, some of the some elements of like the older school kind of coach to him in positive ways. So yeah, I mean, it's always been a tight team element for me. So like the boys that I ran with in high school, we still have a text thread where we chat. My buddy in Kansas City, Jeff Wheatland, does the Heroes for Hospice 5K at the end of the spring, early summer every year. I'm always getting texts from those guys about the program and what we're doing and congratulations and things like that. So kind of just wanting to continue on and even build upon that idea that like, yes, we're running, but we're also learning those life lessons through running. We're developing important friendships and relationships that are going to last a lifetime. So yeah, just I appreciated what he built and the work ethic and the expectation that we are going to be fast and that we are going to be competitive. So just appreciating having had that as an athlete and then have that as the model to kind of start my coaching career there.
Doing well. Hey, Coach, appreciate the time and best of luck this season.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks, Cole.
That is Matt Swedlund, head coach of the Washburn Rural cross country teams. We'll have more of the show after the break. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. We continue on with Kansas Sports Chatter here on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe as we bring in our next guest. That is going to be Jeremy Crabtree. He is with Elevate Recruits. Long time dialed into the recruiting of high school football and getting kids to that next level and on the recruiting basis. I'll let you go into your background, but first, Jeremy, appreciate your time and coming on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you. You guys are doing great work. I've enjoyed watching your shows and excited to be a guest with you.
So what first, like your background of like just the high school recruiting, like what got you involved with that?
Kansas City guy, born and raised, went to school at K-State and happened to be there at K-State in the late 90s, mid 90s when they were starting to go on the upward trajectory. And I can owe my career largely to Mike Stoops, of all people. He was the assistant coach there at K-State under Bob. Bob was there too. Brent Venables was there. Mark Mangino. Mike Leach was there for a cup of coffee. Jay Norvell. So all those people. But Coach Stoops was recruiting a quarterback out of Arizona. His name's Jonathan Beasley. If you're a K-Stater, you know Jonathan Beasley. They were trying to figure out whether or not Jonathan was very interested in them. So me being the enterprising young student journalist at the school, Mike turns to me and says, "Hey, give him a call and see what he says." So I was interning at the Kansas City Star at the time and gave K-State the information. They wanted to hear it. Jonathan was very high on them. We wrote a story. We put it up on the website at the Star, and it went bonkers from a page view standpoint back when, newspapers and the web was kind of just taken off, kind of pre-message board days. That story took off. And then next thing you know, I'm doing more and more and more. And by the time my senior year was up at K-State, I was covering KU, K-State, Nebraska, and Missouri recruiting, because back then we covered all those schools at the Star before, now everybody's consolidated in the journalism world, and got hired right out of school after about 6 months to go become number 2 employee at Rivals.com, the original Rivals.com. So that was a great experience. I parlayed that to some opportunities at ESPN. And then back with On3, worked at ABC affiliate in Kansas City for a cup of coffee, got to cover a couple of Super Bowls because of Patrick Mahomes. So thank you, Patrick. But in every step of the way, I've had my fingers, hands, whatever you want to call it, involved in the recruiting process. And always, Kansas has always been home. Kansas City's always been home. And just, I'm going to be the biggest proponent of high school football in the state of Kansas as anybody out there. So I've had a great career and love absolutely what I've been able to do. And it all goes back to the coaches at K-State just wanting to know what this quarterback was interested in whether or not he was going to commit to them or someplace else.
That's an awesome story. Well, I want to get into Elevate Recruits here in a little bit, but you're still with your recruiting, and whether it was with On3 or it was ESPN or Rivals, like, how do you stay abreast of like everything that is happening in every single high school recruit in that area, and just and making sure you're putting out good content, but like how do you stay informed with all that?
Yeah, the game has changed significantly. To be very honest, previously it was days where you could pick up the phone and talk to a kid and build a relationship with him because no one else was covering recruiting. That was the good old days when you could sit down on a Sunday afternoon and pick up the phone, and a kid would answer the phone and you'd have great conversations and build relationships with them. But now it's all about how you can interact in short bursts from a communication standpoint. Social media, Twitter is where recruiting lives. Whatever, if it's basketball, football, any of the other sports, it's where it lives. So you just have to stay up to date. You turn on your Twitter notifications. You reach out via DMs, just like a college coach does. All of that stuff, and it's not easy. I mean, to be very honest, nowadays the prospects break their own news on social media. It's not like the good old days where we would report and have news on Rivals or news on ESPN or news at On3 about this kid breaking news. But now it's more about trying to provide context and right types of information to the fans, whether you're a KU fan or a K-State fan, the type of why, maybe more why versus the news, if that makes sense. It's not easy. Yeah. I mean, it is certainly not easy. And, it just takes a lot of work. No question.
All right, so here we want to see in your background there, the Elevate Recruits, like what made you kind of stay in the same realm, but kind of pivot a little bit with what you were doing? Yeah,
no, honestly, recruiting now is more difficult than it ever has been before. You've got roster limits, the house settlement forever changed, college athletics, college Division I FBS rosters, and honestly now everybody at the FCS and even the FBS and even the FCS level have opted into house other than two schools at the FCS level. So think about the math here. At the Division I level, football rosters went from 130 to 140 players to capped at 105. There's a lot of really good players who used to be on Division I rosters who are no longer on Division I rosters anymore. That was something that kind of led me to think, well, maybe we need to do something to start helping families out. Then we have the transfer portal. And then we've got now having to deal with NIL and things like that. And also now just recently the 5-for-5 rule that's been passed at both the Division I, and then on Wednesday of last week we had the 5-for-5 become a factor at the D2 level too. So it was always complicated for families, but the culture is just significantly different than what it has ever been before. And I felt like it was time. Recruiting's been so good to me in my life and my family that let's find ways where we can help players and families and parents out, because it's not unless you're Johnny 5-star. The world is significantly different. There are so many great players who are either going under the radar because of this new world that we're in, or just don't know how to market themselves the right way and get in front of their coaches. And that's kind of the why we do what we do at Elevate. And I think we've had a great impact over a year and a half now, and feel excited about what we're building here.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of the prospects, and I know you guys recently posted something on your 2027 prospects that have already committed. I mean, from the Kansas perspective, what have you kind of seen with maybe even some of your own prospects? You got some big-time talent.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, we've been blessed. I mean, we've been blessed, and over the last 2 years, I mean, just even going back to some of the guys like a Trenton Kern at Great Bend, just one of the most impactful defensive players we've seen, in that region. how difficult it was for him to find the right spots. But our 27 class, we feel really good about. I mean, and I think we're going to expand it even more here in coming weeks. But a couple of guys I'm a massive fans of Rhett Daniels over at Blue Valley North, one of the most impactful safety prospects you're going to find in the thing. And we just really love what he's going. He's going to Army, going to be able to follow in his dad's footsteps there. There's a long list. I mean, we could talk for days about the kids in Kansas and that we've been working with, and just feel excited about all of them. It's hard to single just one or two of them out, because I mean, you just even like out of the last week, we started working with Langdon Langston down at Wichita Collegiate, a kid who broke his foot in week 1 of the season, and it's been a little under the radar because he didn't have junior film. So that's those types of relationships that we're trying to build and help these families out.
Like for you, like once you get, kind of in contact with some of these kids, like, I mean, I don't want you to reveal all your secrets and everything that you do, but provide, but as far as just guiding them, like what's like maybe one really good piece of advice that just can help kids out?
Oh, no question. I can give you 50 of them. There's no secret sauce. I mean, there are some secret sauces equate to the equation, but the biggest thing is you got to be your biggest advocate. You got to be persistent. You got to have to advocate for yourself. You have to get out there on social media and be active. And active isn't posting once every 3 weeks. Active is posting weekly, up to twice a week. There's some great studies from people much, much smarter than me from the University of Iowa. They produced a study back a couple years ago where if you post on social media at least twice a week, you increase your chances of earning a D2 scholarship or higher by up to 80%. So just the simple things, just posting on social media, having great highlight tapes. Remember, you have only 30 seconds to grab a coach's attention. So if you have 5 of the same exact plays, the coach is going to go, yeah, whatever. Or if you have just okay plays, persistence is also a massive part of this. You have to be persistent. Again, like I said, you have to be your biggest advocate. You can't just send one DM, and if you don't get a response and think, okay, well, coach doesn't like me. Well, maybe that coach was busy that day, or maybe that coach didn't have a chance to see something that he wanted to see, and so you need to send more films. There's a lot of different theories and strategies you can attack it, but be persistent, be your biggest advocate, and then post on social media are going to be some of the most important key ways to help you kind of get your name out there from a recruiting standpoint.
Well, I know in the day of Google, they can figure this out. But if anyone needs more information and contact you guys, where they need to go, Jeremy? Yeah,
I mean, you can go elevaterecruits.com, or you can reach out to me also on social media. I'm massively active on Twitter, at Jeremy Crabtree on Twitter. And, we have got guys, even if we're not working with them, I find ways to help some of these families out, whether it's a question here, what do I say to this, or how do I respond to that, or, hey, does my film look good? I'm probably over. My boss probably is. I'm not the best businessman, to tell you the truth. I do this for my heart and soul to help these families out, and sometimes that means just, hey, Jeremy, what does this mean, or how can I answer this question? And I'm pretty good about helping families out, even if they aren't with Elevate long term.
That's awesome. Hey, Jeremy, appreciate the time. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
That's Jeremy Crabtree with Elevate Recruits. We'll have more of the show right after this. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. Welcome back on the show as we bring in our next guest. It'll be Lamarion Barnett, a member of the Topeka-Hayden football team, getting ready for this upcoming fall. Hey, appreciate you coming on the show. What's the summer been like for you?
It's been pretty busy. A lot of camps. Went to South Dakota, went to K-State, went to McPherson. Waits at 6 a.m. in the morning every day. Breaks on the weekends, and then...
So for...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. So for you, like at the camps, like how do you get those set up? Do you get the invites or how do you get those all scheduled?
I sign up through Riser for most of them, and then I got invited to South Dakota. I got a letter from them.
What was those experiences like? Can you describe some of just like what you did?
South Dakota, a lot of running back drills. I think it was a pretty cool experience to go down there. I think it was a lot better than K-State, in my opinion. There was a lot of competition down there, a lot of physical kids who wanted to compete for the end goal, and that's the offer.
So for you, like you mentioned as a running back for like making that switch because you played offensive line last year, right?
Yep.
So what has the switch been like for you?
So freshman year, I weighed about 230 pounds. Sophomore year, I weighed around 275. Junior year, I dropped a little bit of weight, got quicker. I weighed 230 again. And then now I weigh 195. It's it was hard, but you gotta stay consistent with it, use your resources, and it's just about how bad you want it. I mean, not much else can really put to it.
Yeah. Like, but trimming down like that much, like what went into your workout to get down under 200 pounds?
Track helped me out the most. Track workouts.
So running back, is that a position though you played earlier in your career?
No, I've never played running back before. I worked out with a family friend. His dad was like, he was like a dad to me. We were close. His name is Kai Thomas. We worked out Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, every week. And we did plenty of drills. Lots of drills. Working on jump cuts, reads, all the stuff like that.
What's been the hardest part of transitioning to a running back? Anything that stands out to you?
To me, it's learning the plays. I think learning the plays was pretty difficult, for me at least, even though I played offensive line and I should probably know the plays, but I think that's definitely the hardest part. Learning the different formations, learning the different reads, which gaps to go, all that stuff.
Playing at Topeka-Hayden, what's that system been like? Bill Arnold over the years for you, and obviously the great success that you guys have had at Hayden. What's it been like just playing football there for the Wildcats?
It's good, but it definitely sucks that we keep falling short of what we want in the end. Last year we worked hard, and we were pretty close, and we fell short. But this year, I think we got it this year. We've worked all summer. I think that we definitely can make it.
You mentioned getting to that title game, and at least the last 2 years it's been Andale. What's it like when you go up against a team like Andale?
They're good. They're good. They got a lot of big guys. They got a lot of skilled players. It's no doubt that they're not a joke. They're not a joke. I think they're one of the best teams in Kansas, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Mar, appreciate the time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
That is Mar Barnett, a member of the Topeka-Hayden football team. We'll have more of the show right after this. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. This is that time of the show where we tell you, hey, if you haven't done so already, go to the YouTube channel, Kansas Sports Chatter, hit the subscribe button there. Help out KSC. Love it. Appreciate everything that we get, feedback, anything follows along here on Kansas Sports Chatter on YouTube. Thanks to our sponsors, Wheatland Electric, headquarters in Scott City, owned by the people they serve, over 32,000 meters. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Man, your high school gym, they need that big video wall. Contact SPX. And Barton Community College, always enrolling. Start your next chapter at Barton. That's going to do it for today's show. Hit us up on social media. We'll be following along with everything that we hear, any feedback, anything like that. Love the interaction. Kansas Sports Chatter. Talk to you on Tuesdays and Thursdays.